Ay, bakit? Someone else is presenting? Okay, okay na? Can you see my screen? Meron bang nag-ano? Yes. Okay, thank you. Ayan. Medyo hindi ako sanay sa Google Meet kasi. Nakakapanibago. But anyway, let's start with our lecture. Okay, so going back to our slide. So for last meeting, we've already tackled this, I believe. Na umpisa na natin yung introduction to epithelial tissue. But before we move along to the 8 basic types of epithelial tissue, let's go back to this part of the slide, the classification of epithelial tissue. So naalala nyo, last time we have mentioned that epithelial tissues, they would be classified according to two parameters. So first, for the first parameter, epithelial tissues would be classified according to the number of layers of cells. Okay? So for the number of layer of cells, your epithelial tissues can be classified either simple or compound, correct? So, naalala nyo ba yun? Simple epithelial tissues would be the epithelial tissues that would only have a single layer of cells. So, ito siya, iisa lang. One single sheet of epithelial tissues. Walang layers na on top, wala ring at the bottom. So, immediately, the epithelial tissue layer would have the apical surface here. Naalala nyo ba yung apical surface? And the basement membrane here. So, a single layer of cells would be attached to the basement membrane or the basal lamina. And then, for the compound epithelial tissues, also known as stratified, so from the root word strata, ano bang ibig sabihin? Pag nakita nyo yung root word na strata, it means layers. So, stratified, of course, self-explanatory na yun, meron siyang more than one layer. So, two or more layer of epithelial tissue sheets that would be on top of each other. So the basal layer, okay, the layer that is underneath or yung pinaka nandoon sa baba na ano, the bottom part layer would be attached to the basal lamina. Naalala niyo yung sabi natin, ano ba yung basal lamina? Ito. Ano yung basal lamina? The basal lamina is composed of epithelial tissue and connective tissue. Ito siya. Yan. Siya yung parang carpet. Kung naalala nyo ba, na-mention ko yun sa sections nyo. Yung basal lamina, siya yung, or yung basement membrane, siya yung parang carpet kung saan nakaupo yung mga epithelial cells. And that carpet or that flooring would now be composed of epithelial tissue cells as well as connective tissue cells. Okay? So, ito. Yung epithelial tissue, yan, when it is attached to the basement membrane or the basal lamina, that end or that pole would now be the basal surface of the epithelial tissue, correct? Naalala niyo yun? Because we have also mentioned that your epithelial tissues would be polar. So, naalala niyo yung sabi natin kapag narinig niyo yung term na polar, what does it mean? Ibig sabihin merong two different ends or two different poles. So, when it comes to epithelial cells, ano yung mga poles na yun? Again, the basal surface or the basal pole would now be the one attached to the basement membrane. The apical surface would now be the pole or the end that would be facing, okay, that would be facing either the exterior, okay, kapag sinabi nating pag sinabi nating exterior layer, isipin nyo, for example, balat, okay, your skin, your outermost skin that is made up of stratified squamous epithelium. Ano, saan ba nakaharap yung apical surface niya, di ba, sa environment na, sa external surfaces na. Okay? So, when it comes naman to other types of epithelial tissue, let's say, itong nandito sa illustration natin dito, remember, we have mentioned that this is now a simple columnar, okay, simple columnar epithelium. Most probably, this would come from the digestive tract, okay? So, naalala nyo yung drawing ko last time. Yung drawing ko last time na if this is your stomach, sorry, not stomach, your intestine, okay? So, ito yung intestine, pinutol mo yung isang part niya. Yan. And then, you took a slice, okay, you took a slice, a tiny slice of representative tissue from your intestines, and then you viewed it under the microscope. Technically, you will see that the apical surface would now face the lumen or yung butas, okay? Yung hollow part, yung butas ng intestine kung nasan yung mga tae, yung mga pagkain. The apical surface would point to that part or would point to the lumen. Okay? And then lastly, for the last pole of epithelial tissue would be the lateral poles or the lateral sides. So technically, lateral nandun sa gilid-gilid. Okay? So the lateral poles would now be those that are adjacent, okay, to other cells or side to side. Wait lang. Yung food panda ko, I'm so sorry. Sorry, yung food panda ko. Sige, anyway. Yan, balik tayo. Alright? And the lateral surfaces would now have cell-to-cell junctions. So when we say cell-to-cell junctions, yun yung mga connection in between epithelial tissue cells or between the individual cells of the epithelial tissue sheets. Okay. Okay. So balik tayo dito. Again, simple and then compound or stratified. And then the next parameter that would be used to classify epithelial tissues would be according to the cell shape. So naalala nyo naman yun, yung sabi natin, squamous from the root word squama, okay, meaning parang plate. Yan. So technically, mukha naman talaga siyang plate, mukha siyang plato, wherein the width is greater than the height. Okay? And then for cuboidal, sabi natin, para siyang box, or technically cube, since 3D siya. Okay? Cuboidal would have an almost equal width to height, okay, ratio. And then when we say columnar epithelial tissues, as you can see here, they are taller than they are wide. Or the height is greater than the width. Okay? So, nakikita nyo naman dito yung mga other na diagrammatic illustrations natin. Yan. And then, nasabi na natin to kanina. So, let's proceed. Okay, na-discuss na rin naman natin to last meeting. Pseudostratified, naalala niyo yung drawing natin last meeting wherein pseudostratified, they would appear as if the epithelial tissue cells have multiple layers because of the appearance of their nuclei. So nakikita nyo naman dito sa upper right-hand side of the screen, you can see here that the nuclei of pseudostratified columnar epithelium would be staggered or they would not be all located at the base of the cells. Yung iba, the nuclei would be on the upper end of the epithelial cell. Other epithelial cells would have a centrally located nuclei. But if you analyze the location and the arrangement of the individual epithelial cells in a pseudostratified epithelium, you can see that they are just arranged side by side rather than being on top of each other. Okay, only the location of the nuclei would make them appear as if they are in a layered organization. Okay, and then lastly, sabi rin natin last meeting, transitional epithelium, from the term transitional, they would now um, attain two different cell shapes depending on the stretch of the organ. So naalala nyo yung example natin last meeting, yung urinary bladder. Okay, urinary bladder. Transitional epithelium basically consists the topmost or rather the outermost part innermost part of the urinary bladder. The lining, okay? The lining of the urinary bladder would be composed of transitional epithelium. At sabi natin, kung punong-puno ng ihi yung urinary bladder, of course, it would only follow that the organ would now stretch up to its full potential or full capacity. So, punong-puno ng ihi. Mapupush ngayon yung epithelial cells to attain now the flattened or the squamous cell shape. But if the urinary bladder is empty or it is not stretched, then of course, the individual epithelial cells would now attain a more cuboidal cell shape. Okay? So going to the 8, tama ba? 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Going to the 8 basic or common types of epithelial tissues. Okay. So we have here simple squamous. Okay, 'di ba? Umpisahan muna natin sa simple. Simple squamous, simple cuboidal, simple columnar. So pagsasamahin mo lang yung number of layers tsaka yung three different cell shapes. And then stratified na tatlo kasi squamous, cuboidal, and then columnar. And then lastly, the pseudostratified and the transitional. So for today, we would be focusing on discussing each common type of epithelial tissue, kung ano ba yung mga locations nila in the body, and then their major functions, okay? And then their histological appearance as well. So, ito, please study this slide kasi this would now be a summary of what we will be talking about today. But, tama ba? Na-receive nyo na yung notes, di ba? Last meeting. Okay. So, again, the quiz will be up to the intro lang ng ng tissues. Okay? Hindi na muna yung sa epithelial tissues kasi isasama natin siya sa next na quiz nyo na lang. Okay? So, going back to this slide again, please be well versed with this slide, especially dito sa mga locations niya. In the board exams, sa board exams ng medtech, tinatanong ba to? Actually, there are some questions that will be taken from basic histology. Ano kasi, at least in my experience lang sa experience ko lang, for the medical technology licensure exam, doon sa histopath na na subject sa boards. Histopath ba? Na pag-mix ko na yung sa med tsaka medtech. Pero anyway, yung subject nyo sa boards that would cover histology and histopathology, para siyang ginawa not for medical technologists, but for med students. Yun yung namin yun yung assessment namin sa exam before. I don't know with other batches, pero para kasing pathologist yung gumawa. Kaya nag-focus siya dun sa mga types of cells. And then nag-memorize pa kami ng mga stains before pero wala namang lumabas na staining. Kaya parang yun. Even if this is a basic concept in histology and histopathology, you have to be well versed with this. The locations of each common type of epithelial tissue as well as their function. Okay? tsaka yung itsura nila. As you go along naman, actually, magiging basic na lang sa inyo na kapag skin, maalala nyo na stratified squamous siya and whatnot. Okay, kailangan lang ng repetition, tsaka kailangan nyo lang i-internalize yung itsura nila, bakit kailangan stratified yung nandito sa ganitong organ, bakit hindi kailangang simple, mga ganun. So, we will be tackling that for this meeting. So, moving on with the first common type of epithelial tissue, we now have the simple squamous epithelium. Again, sabi natin, simple meaning only one layer or a single layer of epithelial tissue. And squamous kasi nga flattened, okay? Flattened or plate-like or thin epithelial cells. Okay? So, for analyze natin, okay? Analyze natin bakit let's go to these examples. Analyze natin bakit sa blood vessels, okay? First, punta muna tayo sa blood vessels. Bakit kailangang manipis lang ang epithelial tissue lining natin, okay? So, i-analyze nyo yung function, okay? Ano bang ginagawa ng blood vessels? So, mag-drawing na naman tayo. Okay. So, let's say that this is a blood vessel. Okay, so pinutol ko from end to end. Yan. Let's say that this is a capillary. Okay? So, a capillary. Nandito rin naman pala siya sa picture dito. Okay? So, what happens inside a capillary? Or what is the function ba? What is the function of blood vessels and the blood inside? So remember, your blood vessels, of course, would now allow the transport, okay, the transport of blood throughout the body. And then, if you can remember, capillaries are the smallest among the blood vessels, okay? Capillaries are the smallest type of blood vessels wherein they are located at the end of the organs. So, malapit na sila doon sa mga cells, okay? Or rather, malapit na sila doon sa mga lining layers ng organs. Bakit? Ano bang gusto ni capillary? Or bakit ano bang gusto ng blood vessels? Diba, it is to deliver nutrients, deliver gases, particularly oxygen, and then remove carbon dioxide. So, lahat yan pupunta dito sa sa blood that is inside the capillaries. So, for example, ito yung oxygen. Oops. Okay. So, yan si oxygen. And then, sabi natin, the nutrients and the gases would have to pass through, okay? They would have to pass through these capillaries, okay, in order for them to diffuse into the individual cells. Okay? So, balikan natin kanina yung... Hindi, yan. Dito na lang para hindi kayo malito. Again, repeating lang what I have mentioned earlier, sabi natin, the blood that is inside the blood vessels would serve to deliver the nutrients and the gases into the tissues. So, in order for that to happen efficiently, syempre kailangan yung dadaanan ng mga nutrients tsaka ng gases natin manipis lang. Okay, imagine nyo if this would be a stratified epithelium. Okay? So, imagine nyo kung maraming layers dyan, makapal. Okay? Let's say, naging stratified squamous epithelial tissue yan. What would happen to the diffusion efficiency of the gases? Diba, syempre, mahihirapan rin na mag-diffuse. E di, hindi na magiging efficient yung delivery natin ng mga gases natin. So, there would now be cyanosis, and eventual ischemia to these organs kasi nga hindi na-deliver yung oxygen sa kanila. So, ayaw natin yun. Kailangan padaliin natin yung buhay nating lahat. Kaya, dapat lang na simple layer or simple type of epithelium kapag lining, okay? And in endothelial tissues. Sabi natin, ito baka kasi malito kayo. kapag narinig nyo yung term na endothelium, it only means, or endothelium would now, yan. Endothelium would be the epithelial tissue lining inside the blood vessels. Okay? At the lumen. Lining now the surface of the lumen of the blood vessels. So, tignan natin. Subukan natin dito. If this is, again, a section of your capillary, your endothelium would now be this. Okay? The epithelial tissue lining of the blood vessels. Okay? Facing the lumen. Again, sabi natin lumen yung butas. So, this would now be the simple squamous epithelium that is lining now the internal surface of your blood vessels. And then, yan. Moving on to another example. Sabi natin dito sa left-hand side of the screen, another example of simple squamous epithelium would be the air sacs of lungs. Okay? Air sacs of lungs. So, ano ba nangyayari din sa lungs? Remember from your anatomy and physiology, remember the term alveoli? Okay? Naalala niyo yung alveoli, which are the grape-like clusters at the end of the respiratory tree. So, nandito rin naman sa screen natin yan. 'Di ba? Remember, in your lungs here, air that is coming in to the body during inhalation or inspiration. Yan, papasok siya sa lungs, through the trachea, and then through the bronchi, and then through the bronchioles, and then ultimately into the alveoli. So, dito na yung dulo. And being at the end of the respiratory tree, we all know that in the alveoli, the essential function or essential event of gas exchange happens. So dito nangyayari yung gas exchange. Kung ito yung micrograph, okay? Ito yung micrograph natin ng alveoli, and then ni-stain mo yan under hematoxylin and eosin stain and viewed it under the microscope, you can see here the individual sacs of alveolus. So imagine nyo, para talaga siyang balloon. Okay? Para siyang individual balloons na may lamang hangin. And then, here, okay, dito sa alveoli natin, meron dyang mga capillaries. Okay? Merong mga capillaries dyan. Bakit? Siyempre, kailangan kunin nila yung gas na nandyan sa dulo ng lungs natin. Diba? This, again, we have mentioned that this is where gas exchange happens, wherein oxygen will be delivered to the blood. So, look here, dito. Oxygen will be delivered to the blood through the capillaries, yan. And then, carbon dioxide will be delivered towards the alveoli for expiration para mailabas mo na yung carbon dioxide. Okay, so here, yan. If this is a capillary, and then sabi natin, ito yung sac of alveoli, you can see here as well a simple type of epithelium or a single layer of squamous epithelium. So, sabi natin, this would allow now easy diffusion of the gases. So, nagigets nyo yung point kung bakit simple lang. Tapos, hindi nyo siya kasi kailangang i-memorize eh. Pag naintindihan nyo yung function or yung correlation between the function and the type of epithelium, maaalala nyo na kung anong type siya. Okay, ganun nyo siya intindihin and i-memorize. Okay? So, yan. Air sacs of lungs, and then sa endothelium natin. Lymphatic vessels kasi same lang yung ano niya, same concept lang din. But instead of blood being inside the lymphatic vessels, yung lymph, okay, or yung interstitial fluid na nanggagaling dun sa mga tissues natin na bumabalik sa lymphatic vessels. And then, ito, si lining of ventral body cavity. Okay, I hope naalala nyo sa anatomy. Sige, burahin muna natin to. Okay. Burn na natin yung capillary. And then, let's draw lungs. So, yan si trachea. Okay. So, remember from your anatomy and... Pangit. Okay lang. Huwag nyo na yung i-judge. Mahirap mag-drawing. Remember from your anatomy and physiology subjects, your organs inside the thorax, okay, they would now be located in two major cavities or two major body cavities. Naalala nyo, one would be the peritoneal cavity wherein nandyan yung gastrointestinal tract natin. Naalala nyo? Peritoneal cavity. So, yun yung space kung saan nandoon yung gastrointestinal tract natin. And then we also have the at the upper part of the thorax would be the pleural cavity. So ano naman ang nandoon sa sa space ng pleural cavity? Of course, yung lungs natin. So kung ito yung space, yan, tao to. Okay. So tao, yay. Tao yan. And then may space dyan. Ay, pangit. Doon lang. Okay. May space kung saan naka-enclose yung lungs natin and your airways. Sorry. So here. The body cavity where the lungs are located is termed as the pleural cavity. And in between the lungs, so nakikita niyo dito. Okay. In between the lungs and the lining of the pleural cavity, meron tayong space. Okay? So yan, meron tayong space dyan. The pleural space. Yan. Containing pleural fluid. Okay? So I hope you can remember that from your prerequisite subjects. So this is the lung, and then this is the pleural cavity. So yan, yung box or yung space kung saan yung lungs. And then in between would be the pleural space containing pleural fluid. Okay, so let's analyze. So during respiration, during respiration, 'di ba, nagkakaroon ng movement yung chest natin. So inward and outward movement of the chest depending on the either yung phase nga ng respiration natin kapag magi-inspire or magi-inhale, anong mangyayari? 'Di ba? Mag-expand yung chest wall natin. And then during exhalation, babalik siya sa dating location niya. Okay? So, ganun. Paulit-ulit. All throughout the life of a human being, that cycle of respiration would now be continuous. So, habang humihinga ka, habang buhay ka, ganun yung mangyayari na movement ng chest wall natin. So, imagine nyo kung paulit-ulit na taas-baba yung chest. Anong mangyayari dyan? Siyempre, there would be a tendency na magagasgas ngayon yung lining. Kasi syempre paulit-ulit lang yan na nagbababa taas yung chest wall. Okay? Expand and then contract, expand, contract. Thus, it is only rightful for this space to have a lubricating fluid. Kailangan merong lubricant para maiwasan yung pagkagasgas ng pleural lining natin. Okay? And this space, maliit lang kasi yung space na yan. Okay? So, this space, this pleural space as well as doon sa peritoneal lining natin, this will now be a tiny space filled up of the lubricant, sabi nga natin kanina, known as pleural fluid. So, talking about the simple squamous epithelium, sabi natin kanina, the lining of ventral body cavities. Okay? One of which would be the pleural cavity, would now be composed as well of simple squamous epithelium. Okay? Siyempre, kailangan manipis lang din yung lining nito. Diba? Na-imagine nyo ba kung bakit? Kasi syempre, kung kinapalan nyo yung space na yan, makakapag-expand at contract ba ng madali yung pleural lining nyo? Di ba hindi? Kailangan maliit lang or rather thin, okay? This lining should be thin enough in order for the expansion and contraction of the chest wall to happen. And in order for the lubricating fluid to be maintained dito sa space na to. Kung kinapalan mo yung layer ng epithelial tissue dyan, edi mahihirapan na ngayon na mag-form ng lubricating layer dyan or lubricating fluid that would now cause friction to the organ and to the pleural cavity lining. Okay? So, again, the lubricating layer would now reduce the friction and prevent the injury. So, during, yun nga sabi natin, respiration. Tapos, furthermore, meron rin tayong puso dito. Okay? May puso rin tayo dyan, enclosed in a pericardial lining. So, nandun siya sa pericardial space natin or pericardial cavity. So, around the pericardium, meron rin tayong pericardial fluid dyan. So, habang tumitibok rin yung puso, kailangan nare-reduce yung friction. So, ano yung lining doon na gumagawa ng pericardial fluid, ng pleural fluid, doon naman sa gastrointestinal tract natin, sa peritoneal cavity natin, meron rin tayo dyang peritoneal fluid. Again, all of which will be coming from a simple layer of squamous epithelium. Okay? So, yan. At this point, do you have any questions? Mag-ano lang kayo, mag-heart-heart kayo. Naririnig ko naman kanina. Okay? So, again, andito sa taas would be the summary of what we have talked about. So, in the epithelial, in the endothelium or doon nga sa blood vessels, and then dito sa body cavities, or yung kakadiscuss lang natin, yung lining, okay, lining ng pleural cavity, pericardial cavity, and peritoneal cavity. These are known collectively as mesothelium. Okay? Pag narinig nyo yung mesothelium, yun yung lining ng mga body cavities natin, alright? Kapag naman endothelium sa blood vessels. Itong sa Bowman's capsule sa kidney, puntahan natin yan mamaya. Kasi baka malito kayo. Pag nakita nyong kidney, baka isipin nyo kaagad, cuboidal na. Okay? Balikan natin to, okay? So, utang ko yan, Bowman's capsule. And then, respiratory spaces in the lung, particularly in the alveoli where gas exchange happens. Alright? Sige. So, moving on to the next common type of epithelium, we have the simple cuboidal epithelium. Sabi natin, again, simple, one layer, cuboidal, okay? Boxy or cube-like in shape, okay? Or in morphology. So, again, the width is almost the same as the height, okay? For the cuboidal epithelium. Okay, before we move on to the examples, imagine nyo, okay, imagine nyo kung maglilipat bahay kayo, okay, maglilipat bahay kayo, ano ang mas gusto nyong lalagyan ng mga gamit? Squamous or cuboidal? Syempre, di ba, cuboidal, okay? Gusto nyo kapag bibili kayo ng lagayan ng mga gamit, syempre gusto nyo ng spacious. Okay, that would accommodate now more volume. Okay, di ba? So, gusto nyo ng mas maraming space kapag magkakarga kayo or meron kayong laman, okay, na gustong ilagay sa isang box. May laman na gustong ilagay sa isang box or meron kayong gamit na gustong i-store sa isang box. Siyempre, gusto nyo yung may space. Okay? So, ayaw nyo ng flattened, di ba? Ganun yung concept bakit in some organs, they are lined with cuboidal epithelium rather than squamous epithelium. Kanina sabi natin, the squamous epithelium would allow yung exchange of materials and would serve as a barrier that would still facilitate an efficient exchange and lubrication. Ngayon naman, ano ba ang gamit, ano ang function or ginagawa ng simple cuboidal epithelium? So this type of epithelium is ideal, okay, for forming the secretory cells of glands. Okay? Sabi natin, yung glands, di ba, nagsisecrete sila ng mga either hormones or even exocrine secretions lang. Okay? So I repeat, simple cuboidal epithelium is ideal for forming now the secretory cells of glands. Bakit? Ano ba ang ginagawa ng glands? Secretion. Okay? Secretion ng either hormones or ng mga exocrine. Okay? Exocrine secretions like mucus, ganyan. Okay. So, very bagal. Okay? So, glands would now contain and secrete either hormones or the endocrine secretions or either exocrine secretions such as mucus, yan, o kaya fluids, yan. Okay? So, sabi natin kanina, again, the primary function of cuboidal epithelium would be for absorption and secretion. So, isa-isahin natin. Punta muna tayo dito kay kidney. Okay. Mag-drawing ako. Kasi 'di ba meron tayong sabi natin babalikan natin kanina. So dito muna tayo sa picture na to. Okay. So at the right-hand side of the screen would now be a micrograph of a nephron. So remember from your anatomy and physiology, the nephron is the basic unit of the kidney. Okay? Again, it is the basic unit of the kidney. So for the nephron, meron tayong technically two parts. Okay? Technically two parts lang naman. Glomerulus is the tuft of capillaries or siya yung parang cluster, okay? Cluster of capillaries. So imagine nyo, pinagbuhol-buhol yung capillaries sa loob ng kidney at the end. Okay? Meron tayong mga tuft or clusters of capillary na pinagbuhol-buhol tapos nilagay sa isang capsule known as the Bowman's capsule. So, try natin mag-drawing. Yan, capillary yan. Capillary. So, blood vessel yan, di ba? And then, in-enclose siya sa isang capsule. Okay, Bowman's capsule. Ayan. So, this would be the glomerulus. And then, this would be the Bowman's capsule. So, nandito, sa actual micrograph natin, ma-appreciate nyo rin yan. This is the glomerulus. And then this is the Bowman's space and then the Bowman's capsule. Okay? So, the next part of a nephron or the renal tubules. So, naalala nyo, I hope naalala nyo from your anatomy yung proximal convoluted tubule right here. Okay, the proximal convoluted tubule, the loop of Henle, yan. Okay, particularly the descending loop of Henle, and then the ascending loop of Henle. And then the distal convoluted tubules. And then the collecting duct. Okay? So imagine nyo, ano bang nangyayari sa kidney? Ano bang gustong gawin ng kidney? Remember, the primary function of the kidney is to filter out. Okay? Filter blood. Okay? Kailangan niyang linisin yung blood. So, through the kidney blood vessels, okay, blood from the entire body would pass through, okay, lahat ng dugo sa katawan ng isang tao kailangan mag-pass through the kidneys. So technically 120 ml, okay, 120 ml per minute of blood would be passing through the kidney at any point of time. So 120 ml of blood per minute would be passing through the kidney para linisan. So ano ba yung lilinisin ng kidney? Yung mga non-proteinaceous nitrogenous compounds natin or the NPNs, which you will be tackling when you go to your higher subjects, particularly sa clinical microscopy or your analysis of urine and bloody fluids. So, NPN, non-proteinaceous nitrogenous compounds. Ano bang example ng mga to? Kapag nakapagpa-blood chem na kayo, okay, nakapagpa-laboratory na kayo and you have tested your blood in chemistry. Remember your creatinine, yan. Okay, creatinine, your BUN or your blood urea nitrogen. Okay, and then another NPN would be your uric acid or your blood uric acid. So itong mga to, technically, they are waste products na kailangang ilabas ng katawan natin from the blood to the urine. So kailangan mailabas yan sa urine natin. Okay? Okay. So kailangan ma-filter out. Okay? Ma-filter out siya. Napakahirap naman pong magsulat. Okay. So again, going back to what I have said, creatinine, BUN, and BUA are all waste products that would have to be filtered out from the blood towards the urine for excretion. Okay? So imagine nyo dito, balikan lang natin the basic concept of urine formation. Remember, sabi natin, si glomerulus, it is a tuft or a bundle or a cluster of capillaries. May blood yan, okay? May blood na nandun sa glomerulus kasi nga capillaries pa siya, okay? Tapos, kailangan ma-force out, okay? At the end of these capillaries, okay, in the glomerulus, since capillaries nga sila, the blood must be filtered. Okay, so high pressure dito. There will be high pressure that will allow the filtration of blood. Okay? So yung liquid portion, or rather, sorry, the fluid portion, okay? The fluid portion of blood will be filtered out the glomerulus. Okay? Itutulak palabas by a type of pressure known as the hydrostatic pressure. And then, ano yung maiiwan sa glomerulus? Siyempre, yung mga cells. Okay? Red blood cells, white blood cells, maiiwan yan dun sa glomerulus. At saka yung mga malalaking substances, such as proteins, yung mga yan. Yung mga hindi mo kailangang itapon, maiiwan siya dun sa capillaries. So, nandyan siya. Ano yung ilalabas mo? Yung ihi, tsaka yung mga waste products. Okay? So, for the first part of urine formation that happens in the glomerulus, so known as the glomerular filtration, what happens is that the hydrostatic pressure in the tuft of capillaries would force out, okay, would force out the fluid portion of the blood towards the Bowman space. So, dito pupunta ngayon yung na-filter natin. Remember ha, bago kayo malos, gumagawa kasi tayo ng ihi dito. Okay? So, yung tubig na may tubig na galing sa dugo na merong mga basura, okay, ito yung mga basura natin, ilalabas ngayon sa glomerulus. Pupunta sa Bowman space. So, ito na yung first na ihi natin. Okay? So, yan na yung ihi natin, itong blue dito. This would now contain the waste products and some other ions na pwedeng kailangan pa natin or pwedeng hindi. Okay. So, again, imagine nyo yan, hayang concept na yan. Balik tayo doon sa previous type of epithelium natin. Sabi natin, utang natin to kanina. Here. The kidney glomeruli. Alright? So, kidney glomeruli, kaka-explain lang natin kanina what happens. Remember, again, the glomerulus is a tuft of capillaries. Capillary pa rin yung mga yan kahit na anong paikot-ikot na gawin nyo. So, what happens is that, remember, that we have mentioned earlier that the lining of blood vessels, particularly capillaries, okay, the innermost lining are composed of squamous epithelium. Simple squamous epithelium. Bakit? Okay, bakit? Remember, if this is the glomerulus, so glomerulus yan, and then may blood siya dyan, di ba? Sabi natin, gusto natin siyang i-force out para nga malinisan natin towards this space. the Bowman space to create the first urine. Okay? So, ang movement niyan from the lumen of the blood vessel, pupush yan ng hydrostatic pressure natin. Okay? Yan. Para magkaroon na tayo ng filtrate dito. Okay? Filtrate or in a technical sense, yung unang ihi. Okay? So again, bakit kailangang simple squamous epithelium yan? In order for filtration to happen efficiently. So imagine nyo kung maraming layer yan, di ba? Mahirap lumabas yung dugo na kailangan nga nating linisan. Okay? So again, that would be the concept or the principle. Bakit in the glomerulus? Okay? In the glomerulus of the kidney, yan, ito, simple squamous epithelium pa rin yung type of epithelium. Pero bakit po, Doc, bakit meron din ditong another type of epithelium sa kidney tubules? Okay? Ano ba yung tubules dito? So, pwede ko nang burahin. Bago ko burahin tong drawing. Okay? Bago ko burahin tong drawing ngayon, ito yung ihi. 'Di ba? Na nanggaling sa blood vessel tapos pumunta sa Bowman space. Itong pataas na yan, that would be the next parts of the nephron. Naalala niyo yung sabi natin kanina, particularly here. Pupunta na tayo sa convoluted tubules. Okay? Sa proximal convoluted tubule. So, nakikita niyo itong tinuturo ko dito. Yan, papasok na yan. Where the next phase of urine formation will happen, which is tubular absorption. Okay? Or tubular reabsorption. So, dito, ihi. Aakyat na yan from the Bowman space papunta sa tubules natin. Renal tubules. First would be the proximal convoluted tubule where the next part of urine formation, particularly the tubular reabsorption would happen. Okay? So, anong nangyayari? Sabi natin, di ba, ihi ito, merong basura, at saka meron ding mga ions na pwede pa nating gamitin. Okay? So, particularly, andyan yung, yung glucose, okay? Andyan yung glucose, andyan yung proteins, andyan yung gases, yan, andyan yung mga sodium, potassium, other ions natin. So, syempre, hindi naman lahat kailangan iihi mo, di ba? So, kailangan bumalik sa blood, okay? Kailangan bumalik sa blood yung ibang essential nutrients, ions, gases, okay? To maintain homeostasis. So, bakit ko binura? So, magdodrawing ulit ako. Pero sige, dito na lang. Okay, capillaries. Okay pa kayo? Okay pa kayo ha? Capillaries. Sabi natin, ano ang capillaries? Ano ang glomerulus? Diba? Lined by simple squamous. And then, meron tayong Bowman's capsule. Okay, Bowman's capsule. Tapos, from the Bowman's capsule, meron na tayong tubules. Particularly, yung una natin dyan, si proximal convoluted tubule. Okay, so yan. Ito si PCT, proximal convoluted tubule. Yan na yung next. So, the tubules, ito. Yan, dito ha. Tignan nyo sa micrograph. Ito na yung tubules natin. And then, ito yung glomerulus. So, what happens again? From the glomerulus, pupunta dito yung filtrate natin. Technically, yung ihi. And then, pupunta siya dyan. So, ihi tong kulay blue. Okay. So, what happens? Sabi natin, during tubular reabsorption, kaya nga tinawag na reabsorption, kasi kailangang ma-reabsorb, okay? Reabsorption. Okay. So, kailangan ma-reabsorb yung mga hindi pa kailangang itapon, such as sodium, potassium, calcium, other ions, okay, depending on the levels of these ions in the blood, What else? Glucose, amino acids, gases. Yung mga kailangan pa ng katawan, babalik yan sa blood, okay? So, during tubular reabsorption, so focus here sa drawing kong napakaganda. The proxima, or rather, the renal tubules. The renal tubules are surrounded, okay, they are surrounded by peritubular capillaries. Okay? Meron ulit tayong capillaries dito. So, parang katabi niya ngayon yung mga renal tubules natin. So, yung purple dito, yung purple dyan, again, these are the peritubular capillaries. So, analyze nyo yung pangalan. Peri meaning katabi. And then tubular, katabi ng tubules. Okay? Peritubular capillaries. So, focus here ha. What happens is that during tubular reabsorption, yung mga essential substances natin in the filtrate, nandito sa tubule, yung kulay blue, yung ihi, babalik sila ngayon sa blood. Okay? Kasi sasabihin, uy, kailangan pa natin ng sodium, kulang na tayo ng asin sa katawan, kulang na tayo ng asin sa blood. So, kuha tayo, galing dun sa ihi, balik natin sa dugo para ma-maintain natin yung level ng sodium sa blood. So, babalik sila ngayon dyan. Okay. So, babalik sila ngayon dyan. And this particular part, the tubules, okay, so gawin na natin red to. The tubules, sabi natin, andyan yung ihi or the filtrate. So, bakit kailangang cuboidal? Okay, bakit kailangang cuboidal yung lining ng tubules natin? Okay, kasi syempre, imagine nyo, this would now contain lots of, okay, this would contain lots of filtrate. Okay, pag sinabi nating filtrate, imagine nyo na lang na ihi yun. Kasi technically, ihi naman talaga yun. Okay? So, this would have to contain, or this would have to, yes, contain the filtrate or the urine. Okay? This would have to store the filtrate that is passed from the glomerulus towards the tubules. Kailangan meron siyang enough capacity. Kailangan kaya niyang ikarga sa individual cells niya yung ihi na nafo-form. Balikan niyo yung sinabi ko kanina. Kapag gusto niyo ng isang container, di ba mas gusto niyo na mas merong volume or mas merong space sa loob. So, same holds true with the renal tubules. Okay? Same holds true with the renal tubules. In order for them to contain now the ultrafiltrate or the urine, there would have to be enough space. Thus, the lining of the tubules, okay, the lining of the renal tubules should attain a shape that is able to contain now enough volume, such as ito nga, cuboidal. Okay? So, imagine nyo kasi kapag flat ang lalagyan nyo ng ihi, di ba? So, gaano na lang kakonting ihi ang mabubuo nyo or mafo-form nyo compared when ito, simple cuboidal ang gagamitin na lining ng tubules natin. Okay? So, again, sabi natin, urine formation is a very dynamic and rapid process. 120 ml of blood per minute dumadaan dito sa kidneys natin. Okay? So, ganun kadaming dugo ang kailangang i-contain dito. Okay? So, yan. At ganun karaming ihi yung nagagawa natin per minute. Okay? Ang minimum natin is 30 cc per hour in a healthy individual. Kailangan meron tayong 30 ml per hour na urine na nafo-form. Okay? So, yan. So, kailangan cuboidal para may space siya. So, moving on, sa another example natin dito would be the glands, okay? Glandular tissue. Particularly sa thyroid. Meron ba tayong thyroid dito? Parang wala. Very sad. Parang wala. Punta na lang tayo dito. Okay, thyroid. When we go to your endocrine tissues, i-discuss naman natin to further. Okay? Pero, explain na rin natin muna kung ano ba nangyayari dun sa thyroid follicles. Okay? Sa thyroid follicles kasi, remember, I believe na-discuss nyo na rin to in your basic anatomy. And even in your physiology, yung thyroid hormone formation. So, ano lang natin, i-retrieve lang natin from our previous knowledge. And then, i-try natin na isa-isahin ngayon. So, thyroid follicles, remember, sa thyroid gland natin, okay, drawing tayo dito. Oops. Thyroid gland. Diba si thyroid gland ay butterfly shaped? Yan. So, yan. Thyroid gland. Sa thyroid gland, kapag kumuha ka ng konting sample dito, and then you view it under the microscope, ano yung makikita mo? Doon sa parenchyma or doon sa substance, or in other words, yung karne, okay? Yung karne ng thyroid gland nyo. Okay? Kapag tinignan mo yan under the microscope, meron tayong mga... Uy, may pusa! Uy, anong nangyayari sa inyo? Meron na bang nakakagat ng pusa dyan? Sino yun? Are you okay? Sige. Yan. Balik tayo ha. So, kuha ka ng konting karne ng thyroid. Tapos, stain mo siya and then view it under the microscope. Okay. The thyroid parenchyma, makikita mo dyan na parang siyang ganito. Merong mga merong mga round or spherical na structures. Okay? Meron tayong round or spherical structures dyan na actually, ang laman nito kulay pink. Maganda siya. Kulay pink. Ito yung colloid na tinatawag. Okay, colloid. Colloid. Oops. Okay. Yan. This single structure, itong single spherical structure na to, is known as a thyroid follicle. It is a single thyroid follicle. Inside the thyroid follicle is a colloid. Okay? So, the thyroid colloid, ano ba yung substance na yan? It technically contains now thyroid hormones. Okay? So, thyroid hormones for storage. Andito si thyroid hormone natin ngayon for storage. So, yan, gagawa ngayon yung thyroid follicle epithelium natin, okay, follicular epithelium ng thyroid hormones. And then, pupunta siya dun sa gitna for storage as colloid. Okay? Sabi natin kanina, kapag meron kang gustong i-store, again, balik na naman tayo dun. Pag meron kang gustong okay, ito na lang. Factory. Okay, factory. Paggawaan ng tinapay. Okay, factory. Paggawaan ng Julie's Bake Shop. Anong gusto mo? Maraming space? Yung factory ng Julie's Bake Shop? Okay, maraming space or masikip? Di ba syempre gusto mo maluwang yung space ng Julie's Bake Shop para marami silang tinapay na magawa. Correct? Same principle holds true with your glandular epithelia. So, sabi natin kanina, paulit-ulit ko nang minimension, kapag may gusto kang i-store or may gusto kang gawin, manufacturing or synthesis, kailangan maraming space instead of flattened. Okay? Thus, the follicular epithelial lining, okay? I repeat, the follicular epithelial lining of glands, such as the thyroid gland, would be lined by simple cuboidal epithelium. Okay? So, dito, nakita nyo naman tong drawing ko dyan. Merong cuboidal layer. May simple cuboidal layer dito. And then, yan, gagawa siya yung TH na yan. Hindi siya tamang hinala, okay? Thyroid hormones. Gagawin yan ng follicular epithelium natin dito, and then isustore siya dito. Siyempre, kailangan natin ng cuboidal type of epithelium dyan, okay? So, as you can see here, balikan lang natin kanina, di ba? Baka kasi hindi nyo ma-distinguish dito. Saan po yung cuboidal dyan? Ito. Yan. Naalala nyo, nag-drawing din ako ng ganito last meeting. So, yan yun. Ito yung mga tubules natin containing now or lined by simple cuboidal epithelium. Bakit cuboidal? Kailangan makastore ng ihi. Bakit kailangan cuboidal dito? Kailangan meron siyang space for synthesis. Okay? So, yan. Again, for absorption and secretion, and still, since being epithelium siya, they will still serve as barrier. Okay? So, okay pa ba kayo? Patingin nga. On cam. Okay. Uy. Ayan. Okay pa? Do you have any questions? Napawisan ako. Ano ba yan? Napaka-intense naman po ng epithelial discussion natin. Okay. Do you have any questions? Okay. Na-overwhelm na ba? Hindi pa naman. I hope not. Okay, sige. Let's go back. Nakita nang nag-download ako ng Temple Run, Charis. Okay, so moving on to the third common type of epithelium. Yan. Okay. We have the simple columnar epithelium. Okay. So, itong sa taas would be the diagrammatic na illustration natin ng simple columnar. And then, kung i-compare nyo dito, di ba, magkamukha naman talaga siya. Okay. Your simple columnar epithelium being simple, syempre, single layer siya ng tall cells. Okay. So, tall cells, para siyang in a fence-like pattern. Okay, fence. Yan. Ano bang Tagalog ng fence? Anyway, so they are arranged in an arrangement as if para silang mga nakatayo in a row. Okay, aligned like soldiers in a row. Yan. So, aside from the volume, okay, aside from the volume provided for by a columnar type of epithelium. So, sabi natin, si columnar, meron din siyang space, technically, may space din siya. But, yung layer ng simple columnar epithelium, it would now also provide good protective function, okay, while maintaining still the ability to absorb nutrients. So, again, you have to protect the intestinal lining. Okay, again, you have to protect the intestinal lining. And aside from the protection function, you have to maintain still the ability to absorb nutrients. So, sabi natin, nakikita nyo na ba yung trend? Kapag kailangan mag-store or kailangan mag-absorb, kailangan merong space or may volume, kaya either columnar or cuboidal yan. Okay? But ultimately, they are all epithelial tissues, kaya meron silang ability to protect the lining or to serve as a barrier. Okay? So, our digestive tract, so kita nyo dito, yan, yung gastrointestinal tract natin na yan from the esophagus, technically, the lower part of the esophagus, okay? The lower part of the esophagus to the stomach, so yan, until the small intestines up to the large intestines, okay? So again, they are all lined by simple columnar epithelium. Please take note ha, sabi ko sa lower esophagus. Kasi yung upper esophagus natin, iba rin yung type of epithelium niya dun. So you have to be specific about that. For in the lower part of the, lower esophagus, okay? Lower esophagus, the stomach, the small intestines, and the large intestines, they are all lined by simple columnar epithelium. And this type of epithelium, sabi natin kanina, it is ideal for the active movement of molecules. So bakit? Ano ba nangyayari sa gastrointestinal tract natin? Exchange pa rin ng nutrients. So kung kanina, doon tayo sa gas, okay? Gas exchange. Wherein, ano bang nangyayari sa gas exchange? Diffusion lang siya, okay? So, simple diffusion of gas. Dito kasi sa gastrointestinal tract natin, ano yung na-absorb natin? Nutrients, okay? Malalaking molecules yan. Macromolecules, particularly yung carbohydrates natin, yung proteins, lipids. So these are all macromolecules, malalaking ano yan, malalaking substances or malalaking molecules yan, okay? And aside from that, sabi natin kailangan may protective layer din tayo or may protective function tayo. So let's take for example in the stomach. Inside the stomach, remember that we have the gastric fluid, okay? And the gastric fluid, as we all know, it is highly acidic. So as low as a pH of 1 to 2, okay? A pH of 1 to 2. So very, very highly acidic ang gastric contents natin, particularly the gastric fluid. Meron siyang hydrochloric acid, pH 1 to 2. Kaya, anong gusto or anong gagawin rather, anong gagawin ng stomach natin to protect, okay, to protect the integrity of the organ from the very acidic or the highly acidic gastric fluid? It has to secrete a type of fluid that would neutralize or rather protect the lining of the stomach from the harsh acid. So ano yung ipoproduce ni epithelial tissue to protect the stomach lining? It will now produce mucus. Okay? So mucus. So imagine nyo kapag nagsusuka kayo. So imagine yung mga time rather na wrong spelling. Okay. So, going back, imagine niyo yung time na nagsusuka kayo. Okay, nagsusuka, and then wala na kayong masuka. Naalala niyo yung parang laway na lang, yung parang makapal na laway, mucoid substance na sinusuka niyo. Yun na yung mucus na pinoproduce, the protective mucus of the gastrointestinal tract, particularly the stomach. Sino yung gumagawa niyan? Ito pa rin, si epithelium, particularly the columnar epithelium. So, ganito. Ma'am, bakit sabi nyo absorption din yung function ni gastrointestinal tract? Bakit hindi po simple squamous? Di ba sabi nyo kanina, meron na rin naman tayong absorption dito. Meron tayong gas absorption. Okay? So, tama naman. Bakit hindi simple squamous? Okay? Absorption din naman yung ginagawa. Sabi, i-analyze natin yung function para ma-memorize natin ng madali yung lining. So, ito, okay, the reason why is because aside from absorption, the lining or the epithelial tissue lining of the gastrointestinal tract must be able to secrete or synthesize a protective fluid known as the mucus. So, syempre, kailangan niya ng storage area. Kailangan niya ng enough volume to accommodate the mucus that is being produced. And aside from that, kailangan malaki or rather merong enough volume yung epithelial lining natin dito in order for absorption to happen in a high capacity and a very efficient process or mechanism. So in other words, sabi natin kanina, anong mangyayari dito? Kailangan ma-store natin or rather ma-absorb natin. Okay? You have to absorb the macromolecules such as protein, glucose, lipids through this epithelial tissue. Kailangan may space. And then the mucus from individual cells here, okay, must be able to be secreted in a constant manner to protect the lining of the gastrointestinal tract. Okay? So, yan. Aside from that, kailangan rin natin ng other mechanisms to allow gastrointestinal absorption to happen more efficiently. So, habang kumakain kayo, habang kumakain tayo ng food, habang umiinom tayo ng mga drinks yan, containing these macromolecules, syempre kailangan yung process natin ng digestion and absorption, kailangan madali nating ma-absorb yung mga kinakain natin and kailangan marami tayong ma-absorb. Okay? Kailangan marami tayong ma-absorb. So, in order for that to happen, meron tayong mechanism or meron tayong principle sa gastrointestinal tract that allows now an increase in surface area. Okay? Increase in surface area. Ano ba yung surface area? Okay? So, imagine nyo. Ito yung natin. Example number 1. And then example number 2. Okay? So, let's say na what if, okay? What if ito ay intestine, okay? So, intestine yan na. So, kapag yung lining natin ng intestines natin, ganyan lang. Simple lang. Okay? Wala siyang villi or wala siyang microvilli. Okay? So, yan lang. Straight lang siya. A simple lining of epithelial tissue. Okay? Versus itong second example natin. If this is the intestine, lagyan natin ng microvilli. Finger-like projections. Okay. Yan, meron tayong microvilli or finger-like projections. So, kung isa-stretch mo ito, okay, isa-stretch mo yung area na to and then i-measure mo, 10 meters lang to. 10 meters lang yan. But, if you create this finger-like projections and make them come in contact with the gastrointestinal contents, kapag ni-stretch mo yan, yung mga folds and yung mga finger-like projections na yan, ang magiging area niya is 20 meters. Okay, syempre, nilagyan mo kasi ng extra. Okay, linagyan mo ng extra na, technically, extra surface. Okay, Nilagyan mo ng extra surface dyan in the form of finger-like projections. Kapag ni-stretch mo yan, magiging 20 meters yan. Ito kapag single lang na flat lang yan na lining, 10 meters lang siya. So comparing these two, sa tingin nyo, sino yung mas maraming maa-absorb na nutrients? Siyempre, yung mas maraming area. Okay? Yung mas maraming area. So in our example, yung 20 meters, naging 20 meters siya dahil dun sa finger-like projections na yan. Na kapag mineasure mo kung gaano karami yung area that comes in contact with the gastrointestinal contents, mas marami talaga yung area nito. Okay? Mas marami yung layer or rather yung surface na na-expose to the gastrointestinal contents and thus increasing the rate of absorption as well. Okay? So yan. This particular concept, okay, is made possible by the concept or the mechanism na yung lining natin ng gastrointestinal tract is made up of simple columnar epithelium. Okay? So, yan. Itong finger-like projection na yan, imagine mo. This is a single villi or a single microvilli and it is lined by multiple columnar epithelial tissue that increases the surface area. Yan. Okay? So, yan. And you can also appreciate here yung sinasabi natin from our previous lectures that in a simple columnar epithelium, in a true simple columnar epithelium, the nuclei are located at the base. So, yung darkly staining parts of the micrograph here, yung mga basophilic stain dito, when we say basophilic, it means yung mga blue to bluish violet ang kulay. These are the nuclei. Okay, so kung i-compare nyo dito sa taas, 'di ba? Magkamukha sila. Okay. And then dyan, this is a single villi. And then dito, kung makikita nyo ito, yan. Kita nyo ba yan? Yung topmost layer na yan, meron pang mga maliliit na villi, mga microvilli yan. So, meron na nga tayong finger-like projection dyan, tapos meron pa tayong mga cilia, okay? Mga cilia that would still increase the surface area of the gastrointestinal tract for absorption, okay? So, meron tayong mga, yan, okay. And then, again, for the function, reiterate lang natin, absorption, so kailangan may space, secretion of mucus and enzyme, kailangan merong lagayan, and then cilia to propel mucus. Okay. So, ciliated types. Ito, ciliated siya kasi meron siyang ganyan. Sabi natin dito, ciliated types lining the small bronchi. Bakit kailangan may cilia? Bakit kailangan may cilia sa bronchi? 'Di ba sa bronchi, asan ba yung bronchi? Asan yung bronchi? Nasa lungs, nasa lungs. Nasa respiratory tree, 'di ba? Okay. So, nasa respiratory tree, mag-try lang tayo dito na mag-drawing. So, kung ito ang bronchus. Yan. So, bronchus yan. Hinati mo yung bronchus. Tapos, lagyan natin ng simple columnar epithelium na lining. Okay. Ma'am, bakit po simple columnar? Kasi sa bronchi, kailangan may mucus ka rin dyan. Okay? To protect still the respiratory tree lining. Okay? Hindi pa naman kasi yan gas exchange eh. Daanan lang talaga to ng hangin. Okay? So, syempre, may dumadaan dyan na hangin every time. Kailangan meron tayong protective na layer ng mucus. Kaya nga, di ba, kapag inuubo ka, okay, pag inuubo or meron kang respiratory tract infection, nagkakaroon ka rin ng increased secretions of mucus. Yun yung halak or yung plema. Okay? So, ano yung gumagawa ng plema natin? Actually, itong simple columnar epithelial lining dito. Bakit kapag inuubo ka or bakit kapag let's say meron kang bronchitis, ganun. Okay. Na-irritate kasi yung lining. Ano yung irritant ng ano yung irritant kapag nagkakasakit ka? For example, bronchitis. So, let's say merong virus na nakapasok. Okay. So, merong virus na nakapasok dyan. Ang hirap na mag-drawing. Sorry. Yan. So, may virus na nakapasok dyan. Tapos, ma-irritate niya ngayon yung respiratory lining natin. Ano ang magiging compensatory mechanism ng simple columnar epithelium natin? Gagawa siya ng mas maraming mucus para ma-protect pa niya lalo yung lining natin ng bronchus natin. Okay? So, sabi natin, kapag meron kang ginagawa, again, meron kang substance na ginagawa. In this case, mucus. Yan. So, simple columnar epithelium, yung nararapat na type of epithelium natin dyan. Balikan natin. Sabi natin dito, in the small bronchi, bakit ciliated? Okay. So, bakit po ciliated? What is the function of the cilia here? The cilia, or the finger-like projections, the thread-like appendages that is at the apical surface of your epithelia. Sabi natin, di ba, apical surface facing the lumen. Meron diyang mga parang buhok, okay? Meron diyang mga parang buhok na nagkakaroon sila ng movement, to and from movement, okay? Propelling movement. So, imagine nyo para siyang brush, okay? Para siyang brush na nagmo-move papunta dyan, nagmo-move papunta dito, okay? So, para siyang, yan, sumasayaw siya, yung mga silya natin. It is in order for the mucus to be propelled, okay? Para gumalaw yung mucus. Bakit? Kasi kapag na-store yung mucus dyan, it will allow now the potentiation or accumulation of bacteria and mucus. So, gagawa ka ng inflammation dyan kapag wala kang proper na ciliary movement. Kailangan gumagalaw yung mga cilia to propel the mucus. Okay? Para madali mong ma-clear out yung secretions. Para madali mong mailabas yung plema. Okay? And aside from that, kapag naman walang sakit, in order for the debris, yung mga hinihinga natin or nai-inhale natin na mga particulate materials, mga pollutants, yan. Yung cilia, siya yung nagwawalis. Okay? Siya yung nagwawalis sa mga particulate matter that we inhale in a normal setting, a normal environment. Okay? So, si cilia yung nagwawalis and nagwawalis ng particulate matter and nagpo-propel or nagwawalis ng mucus para madali siyang malabas. Okay? So, all of these are characteristics of a simple columnar epithelium. So, you can see here, dito, yan, yung line, yung apical portion containing the cilia appendages. Okay? So, cilia propel mucus by ciliary action. Dito naman sa uterine tubes and uterus, bakit kailangan may cilia? Para ma-propel natin yung either yung egg, okay? Yung egg in the fallopian tube. Puntahan na lang natin yun pagdating natin sa reproductive system. Pero same lang din, parang it will help the egg to be transported to the fallopian tube. Okay? Yung ciliary action na yun. Alright, meron pa bang questions? May questions ba kayo? Sige, 5-minute break muna. Let's go back, 6-minute break by 6:55. Okay? Okay, let's go back. Sige, balik na tayo. Okay. So next we have the pseudostratified columnar epithelium. So in relation to your simple columnar epithelium kanina, actually same lang yung principle ng um, bakit columnar, okay, yung lining ng mga next na organs natin na pag-uusapan. So for this particular slide, focus on the upper part here. You can see here that the trachea and some parts of the bronchial tree, particularly the upper bronchus, yung mga upper bronchus natin, and particularly the trachea, yung windpipe natin, ito, windpipe, and then the primary bronchus or the primary bronchi here. Kapag ni-slice mo yan, okay, so slice mo yung trachea and then kuha ka ng cross-section and then stain mo siya from a side, from a lateral perspective rather. So kung titignan mo siya from the side, ito, dito yung part, yan, dito ha yung tinitignan, ay yung pinupoint ko. This is the airway side. So ito yung nandito sa may lumen. Again, apical surface. Siya yung nagfe-face towards the hollow part of the trachea. Kung saan dumadaan ano bang dumadaan sa trachea? Your gases, yung hangin dumadaan dyan, being the windpipe, okay? So you can see here that the trachea is lined by a columnar epithelium, but this time it is pseudostratified. So you can appreciate here yung sinasabi natin kanina and in our previous lecture that the nuclei of pseudostratified epithelia seem to be arranged in a manner na merong layers. Okay? You at first glance, you may interpret this as having multiple layers kasi 'di ba magkakapatong yung nuclei. Magkakapatong yung nuclei. But in reality, so focus here, the staggered nuclei or the different locations or heights of the nuclei would allow the appearance of stratification. But in reality, magkakatabi lang talaga sila. Okay? Magkakatabi lang yung individual cells natin in a single layer. So you can appreciate it here dito sa hina-highlight kong or tinuturo kong illustration. So bakit bakit sa trachea ganyan, pseudostratified? The trachea, dito kasi siya yung major natin na dyan yung yung malaki or dyan yung first na dadaanan ng hangin. Okay? And as you can see here, the volume or the area of the trachea is also larger or greater than the volume of the bronchi. So anong gusto kong sabihin dun? Mas maraming hangin yung dumadaan dito sa trachea at one point of time. Thus, mas mabilis din yung pressure or rather sorry, mas mataas din yung pressure ng hangin na dumadaan dito sa trachea. Okay? So, what happens here is that these short cells, okay, itong mga mas pandak, okay, yung mga short cells natin dito, these short cells are progenitor cells. Meaning, yan yung mga, imagine yung mga lolo-lola, mga lolo at lola na cells, na continuously nanganganak na lang sila ng mas maraming epithelial cells. Okay? These progenitor cells give rise to these tall cells. Okay? So, bakit? Kasi nga, dito sa trachea, mas mabilis yung pressure ng hangin. So, mas madali din na ma-destroy or ma-damage yung lining epithelia dito. Kaya actually, the pseudostratification here is because the progenitor cells would now have to replace Okay? They would have to replace the damaged epithelia due to the high pressure of air coming through the trachea at any single point of time. Again, these progenitor cells would have to continuously give rise to newer tall cells. Okay? Thus, mabilis yung rate of destruction and production. Kaya ibig sabihin, again, mabilis yung rate of destruction and reproduction of cells dito. Kaya nagkakaroon ng iba't ibang layers ng iba't ibang location yung nuclei ng mga cells dito sa lining ng trachea natin. So imagine nyo ha, eto, try natin dito. Imagine nyo dito sa part na to, masisira yung epithelium. So kailangan palitan niya ng bagong cell. So yung mas younger na cell, kapag na-produce or kapag na-develop na yung younger cell dito, iba rin yung location ng nucleus niya dyan. Ito mas matanda na cell to. Okay? Ito mas batang cell. Kaya parang magkakaiba na talaga yung heights ng nuclei nila. Kasi hindi pare-parehas yung time na napoproduce yung mga cells na yan. Kaya nagkakaroon ng pseudostratification. Pero technically, magkakatabi lang talaga sila. Okay? So again, these short cells, these short columnar cells will give rise to the tall cells. Okay? And the cell would have several different layers of the nuclei, giving the false impression, again, that this epithelium is pseudostratified. But, yung previous concept na diniscuss natin kanina, in the bronchi din, small bronchi, okay, the small bronchi, wherein these small bronchi are ciliated. Okay? They are ciliated. Same holds true with your pseudostratified columnar epithelium. Particularly in the trachea, they are also ciliated. Bakit? Siyempre, kailangan meron din ng mucus. Okay? The trachea being part of the respiratory tree should also be able to have the ability to secrete mucus. Okay? Again, the cilia would perform the propelling movement, okay, the propelling movement or the propulsion of mucus by ciliary action. So ito, the tiny hair-like appendages here would now move to and from to produce the propulsive movement in order to allow the mucus to be propelled and not accumulate in the respiratory tree. Okay? So dito sa ductus deferens or the in the epididymis, ano ba to? Kung naalala nyo from your anatomy, di ba, these are part of the male reproductive system. Okay? So the male reproductive system, you would also have pseudostratified columnar epithelium, but this time around, they are non-ciliated. Bakit? Hindi na natin kailangan ng cilia sa mga parts na yan kasi meron namang buntot yung mga sperm cells. Okay? So yan, that would allow them to move by themselves. Okay. The next, let's move on to the stratified epithelia. So tapos na tayo sa mga simple and sa pseudostratified. Now we move on to the stratified or those with multiple layers of epithelia. So for this particular slide, we have two types. Again, na-mention natin from our previous lectures that in stratified squamous epithelia, we still have two subclassifications. Okay? The keratinized and the non-keratinized. So, remember keratin? Ano na nga bang type of cytoskeletal fragment ito or cytoskeletal protein? Remember the keratin or the cytokeratin is an intermediate filament. Naalala niyo yung discussion natin last meeting wherein sabi natin, si intermediate filament, their main function is to provide tensile strength. Okay, pinapatibay niya yung mga structures natin, si keratin. So this is a type of intermediate filament that would provide tensile strength. So for this particular slide, focus on the top portion of this slide. Stratified squamous epithelium can be found in, first, the epidermis. Remember in the skin, so focus kayo dito sa tinuturo ko dito sa pointer natin. Again, the epidermis is the topmost layer of the skin, or the uppermost or the outermost layer of the skin. So meaning, being the outermost layer, it has to be strong. It has to be able to face, or rather accommodate and serve as a barrier towards the harsh environment in the external environment. Okay? So, syempre si skin, kailangan very strong yan, as well as it must have the regenerative capacity. Okay? Anong ibig sabihin ng regenerative capacity? Dapat madali siyang bumuo ng new layers. Siyempre kasi na-expose siya sa external environment na constantly meron tayong mga source of injury dyan. Okay? So, yan. So, si stratified squamous epithelium being thick and composing of several layers, again, it can be either keratinized or non-keratinized. Okay? So, furthermore, bakit siya stratified? Okay, bakit siya stratified? Sabi natin kanina, ang organs natin lined by stratified squamous epithelium. These are the organs that are exposed to harsh conditions or exposed to the external environment. Thus, the stratified epithelium must have the capacity to regenerate, wherein the basal cells, remember basal cells, yung mga nakadikit sa basement membrane, okay? The basal cells must have the capacity to divide continuously. Kailangan kaya nilang mag-divide continuously, kaya nilang mag-perform ng mitosis continuously para mapalitan nila yung mga mabilis mamatay na cells dito sa top. Okay, these are actually dead cells na. Okay, technically dead skin cells. So these basal epithelia must have the capacity to regenerate. And nagkakaroon ng multiple layers kasi syempre, yung mga patay na cells dito sa taas must be replaced by newer cells. Syempre, kaya nagkakaroon ng layers dyan. The basal cells would divide and push upward. So, yan, mas durable or mas strong yung stratified epithelium natin. Well, again, is for protection. And sabi natin kanina, stratified squamous epithelium is the thickest, okay, among all the types or among all the common types of epithelium natin. So, for this example, si epidermis, okay, balikan ba natin? Huwag na. Kita nyo naman dito sa slide natin na to. Si epidermis sa outermost. Underneath would underneath the dermis wherein mismo mga base cells and nag-undergo ng okay. Na squamous epithelium. Furthermore, we move on to the two types, keratinized and non-keratinized. So, syempre, iisipin nyo, ano ba yung mga types ng organs na kailangan may keratin? Yung mga na-expose sa external surface. So, syempre yan na, si skin. Okay? Dito naman kay non-keratinized, ano yung mga types of organs na iisipin nyo na dapat lined by, by a strong type of epithelium? Syempre yung mga organs na in constant or may come in constant friction. Okay, may come in constant friction or may be subjected abrasion or yung mga laging nagagasgas, okay? Mga laging nagagasgas. So ano yung mga types na ano yung mga organs na laging nagagasgas? First, 'di ba sa mouth, kain ka ng kain, okay? So kain ka ng kain, mouth and then the esophagus particularly. So kapag lunok ka ng lunok, in constant friction yung mga yan. So what else? Vagina. Okay? So, malalaki na tayo dito. The vagina must be able to accommodate now constant friction during copulation. So, it must have this ability to still protect the underlying tissues. Kailangan strong pa rin si vagina. Pero syempre, kailangan hindi yan masyadong matigas. So, kailangan stretchable or kailangan kaya pa rin niyang i-accommodate yung stretch during copulation kapag na-insert yung penis sa vagina, kailangan able pa rin si vagina na mag-stretch. Okay? So, hindi siya pwedeng maging keratinized. Bakit? Siyempre kapag nilagyan mo yan ng keratin, hindi na mag-stretch si vagina. Mawawalan na siya ng ability to stretch and accommodate the penis during copulation. Okay? So, non-keratinized siya. Hindi mo siya lalagyan ng ng keratin. Ganon din si esophagus kapag lunok ka ng lunok ng ng pagkain, 'di ba? Hindi naman iisang size lang 'yung nilulunok mo. So it must have the ability to stretch still. Thus, it must be non-keratinized, okay? But still again, pare-parehas lang 'yung function nila. They must be able to protect these underlying tissues from external environments, kailangan maraming layer kasi kailangan hindi makapasok yung microbes from the skin, hindi kailangan hindi makapasok yung microbes sa vagina, kailangan kapag kumakain ka hindi makapasok yung microbes sa esophagus, sa mouth. Kasi 'di ba yan naman maraming bacteria diyan kung titignan niyo lang talaga sa skin in constant population or numbers of normal flora as well as yung mga bacteria na nakukuha natin from the environment. So, kailangan maraming layers to protect sa vagina, to protect from sexually transmitted na mga pathogens. Sa mouth, marami ring bacteria dyan actually. Okay, that are normal flora. And syempre, kain ka ng kain dyan. So, constantly na-expose din yan to many pathogens. Thus, kailangan very strong and protective yung epithelia dyan. So, it is only rightful that the type of epithelia that consists these organs or that line these organs must be stratified. Okay? So, yan. Moving on, dito naman, stratified cuboidal epithelium. So, again, balikan nyo lang kanina yung concept. Pag cuboidal, meron kang mga ginagawa. Focus on the top portion of the screen, the sweat glands, okay, sweat gland ducts, large glands of exocrine glands, and the anorectal junction. Ano yung common sa mga to? So, si sweat glands, they constantly synthesize sweat. Okay? So, kailangan meron kang cuboidal or meron kang type of epithelium that would now allow the storage of sweat. Okay? And then, large ducts of exocrine glands. So, same lang yun. Same concept. Ano ba yung mga exocrine glands natin na to? Salivary glands. So, laway. So, kailangan meron kang space para dun sa fino-form or sinisynthesize mong laway. Mammary glands, yung milk. Okay? So, kailangan cuboidal siya. Hindi pwedeng squamous yan. Pero ito, in contrast with the simple cuboidal epithelium natin kanina, 'di ba? Glands din 'to, mga small glands. So, single layer lang yung mga 'yan. Ito naman sa stratified cuboidal epithelium, mga larger glands. Okay, larger glands kaya since they are larger glands, it is only rightful na meron tayong more layers, okay, to accommodate the increase in their secretory function. So, ano ibig sabihin natin? Siyempre, mas marami kasi silang pinoproduce. So, mas maraming pinoproduce na sweat or saliva or milk. So, yung mga yan. Kaya, meron tayong stratification dyan. Okay? So, saan pa sila nakikita? Again, in virtually all skin wherein meron tayong eccrine sweat glands. So, naalala niyo yun. In the armpits, particularly the apocrine glands. Okay? So, yung mga yan, mammary glands and salivary glands. And then, ito si anorectal junction. Dito kasi sa anorectal junction, ano yung pinoproduce dito? Mucus din. Okay? Mucus din. Since kapag nga during excretion, kapag tumatae ka, meron din talagang constant na strain and friction dito. Kaya kailangan yung cells na naglaline dito are able to produce mucus. Okay? And then next, stratified columnar. Okay. So, malapit na tayong matapos. So, stratified columnar, not as common. Okay. Ang stratified columnar natin, they are also found in salivary glands actually. Pero tignan niyo yung yung trend. Sabi natin dito, large ducts of exocrine glands. Kaya meron tayong cuboidal and then stratified pa. Kasi nga large yung glands na yan. So, i-compare nyo dito sa simple cuboidal. Tignan nyo ha, small ducts of exocrine gland. Small, kaya okay lang na simple. Okay? Kasi konti lang naman yung pinoproduce nila, small ducts of exocrine glands. Dito sa stratified cuboidal, large ducts, kaya cuboidal na siya, and then merong stratification kasi mas marami silang pinoproduce. And then lastly, stratified columnar, take note, largest ducts of exocrine glands. Kaya syempre kailangan mas marami yung volume or um, mas madami yung capacity ng lining epithelium dito kasi nga largest gland. So, mas marami rin talaga silang technically pinoproduce ng mga secretions. But still, itong mga to, they are rare or they are not as common rather compared to the other types of epithelium. But they can be found as well in glands natin such as in salivary glands, in the male urethra, yan. So same principle lang ng kung bakit dapat ganyan yung type of epithelium sa mga previous na na-discuss natin kanina. Again, stratified columnar would be found in the largest ducts of exocrine glands, primarily in salivary glands, in the male urethra, and even in the conjunctiva. So, sa eyelids natin, di ba, kailangan yung conjunctiva natin, kailangan always moist yan. Okay, always moist. So, in constant production din yan ng lubricating fluid natin for our conjunctiva or our eyelids. Okay? And then lastly, na-discuss na actually natin to in our previous meeting, transitional epithelium. Again, they would attain two types or two cell types. Okay? Transitional epithelium can change, again, its cellular arrangement and cell shape. And they line particularly the internal lining of hollow urinary organs. So, ano ang unique dito sa transitional epithelium? Nilaline nila yung urinary system. Okay? Urinary system. Like the urinary bladder, yan, ureters, urethra. So, as we have mentioned then from our previous lectures, our urinary bladder would stretch as they fill with urine. So, na-explain na natin dito. And the transitional epithelium must be able to stretch as well. And yung pag-stretch niya kasi from from 3 to 6 cell layers. Okay? From 3 to 6 cell layers, mapupush yan. Okay? Mapupush. Ito, tignan nyo ha, maraming layer to initially. And then as the urinary bladder is filled up with urine, mapupush siya and can attain now a single layer. So from 3 to 6 cell layers, pwedeng maging 1 layer or single layer na lang siya ng flattened epithelium. Okay, thus, this epithelium would transition in shape. Okay? So, yan. Na-explain na natin yan last meeting din. Tsaka kanina. Alright? So, okay na pala to. Okay na rin to. Okay. So, junctions next meeting. Ano yan? So, in summary, ito yung lahat ng pinag-usapan natin today. Please be well-versed with this slide. Okay. Itong topic natin na to for epithelium, isasama na natin sa connective tissue kapag magko-quiz tayo. Okay? So, stop share muna tayo.